Yeah.
then it's really pivoting on scaling. If it scales, then it's going to be in everyone's home, and it's going to grow. It's going to keep growing after everyone's adopted it, and that's where we're at, and that's where the world's at because everything's moving towards sustainability. I mean, for the
Yeah.
first time in 15 years, Exxon has reported losses. Oil is no one wants to. I don't want to buy a car. You know what I mean? I don't even really want to fly across the world to Holland in a sense because I know that I'm contributing to greenhouse gas. And the same thing with being on a computer. This is sending to a server somewhere, and it's just pumping out CO2. So these are problems that we got to think about that are all larger than can I make a little bit of money off of the value of Bitcoin going up? Like,
Yeah.
is that really going
Yeah.
to matter in 30 years?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
and I think the answer to it is not there's a one answer, but it's like this that
Yeah.
it's going to need all of us to in a sense use kind of like blockchain thinking of all of us having our ideas and coming together and creating this like mesh network of solutions. I think that's the way it has to go.
That's a
The
really
beautiful-
good metaphor, yeah.
The beautiful thing about globalization and the information age is the connectedness. But now we have to interconnect deeper, and we have to interconnect back with the planet, and that's just what we have to do. I mean, you got to listen to the.
It's like
Yeah,
what
listen-
I said about the mistake that Ethereum made of positioning itself as a competitor to Bitcoin, right? It's really not a competitor to Bitcoin. The two are very complementary at the end of the day, where Bitcoin is acting as a currency and Ethereum is acting as this decentralized network facilitating decentralized programs to run, like a decentralized organization can run autonomously. And it could use
The new paradigm requires
a bunch of other decentralized services.
new philosophies
Mm-hmm.
to be sort of laid over this, because it is actually, you guys are all saying, oh, it's not competing, but it actually is. It's just on a different level than for money. It's not competing for money, because open source does away with the patent bottlenecks and the typical thing that happens with business. But what's happening is this little cycle that's pretty normal on technology. If you go back, you see early cell phone days, traveling along, and then suddenly you'd go on Rome because you were in Company B's territory and they had all the towers up, and so this pre-cooperation. But ultimately, all the markets, whether they're open source, profit or not profit or whatever, they got to come together and make a protocol, a standard, where they can all communicate. And even fax machines, like at first, could only communicate with the same brand.
I love the word communication, John. That's such a huge word. Communication is key in all this.
So right now it really is a kind of a competition. It's just who's going to come up with the best system through collaborative efforts, and once it's up, then everyone adopts the same thing because it's open. It's not that's where the comparison just drops right off, because it's not this is mine, I got here first, I win. It's okay, everybody. This is the best way. This is the best system. Let's all hook it up.
The point I'm making is Ethereum is enriched by the existence of other decentralized services that DAOs could theoretically use. Much like every decentralized service is enriched by other services existing that can use them. Like Slockit, for example, comes up with some system that does a distributed permission system that suddenly, DAOs can now toggle permissions for people on and off. And Bitcoin can now have permissions for wallets, or for devices that contain wallets, or for online wallets. And you can have, every time you add a new functionality into the mix, everybody else suddenly acquires this new functionality as long as they can interface with that system.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. It's like rootstock integrating Ethereum into Bitcoin. It's all open source, and I think Ethereum it does what it does well, and it's just going to get better. And Bitcoin, the value that I see with Bitcoin is I see it predominantly as a store of value, kind of like the gold standard of crypto, or like a reserve standard of crypto, which cryptocurrencies need. You know, it's got the most liquidity, it's got the most on-ramps to fiat, it's traded. Pretty much all altcoins are traded against it or paired against it, and like I trade. I'm pretty coin agnostic myself. Aside from, like, you know, shitty pump and dump coins that people just try to pump out and dump on the markets type of thing. But I'm fairly coin agnostic. But as a trader, I've been predominantly locking my value in Bitcoin. You know, with altcoins, you know, you see them rally, you take your profits, right? Like, don't hold on to, like, I personally don't hold on to them for terribly long, because the majority of them haven't been a very good long-term store of value. And I think even with things like with Ethereum, as far as value goes, I'm not even sure what the inflation rate is, and I'm not even sure if, like, Ether is supposed to be used as a currency so much as the fuel source for its apps, right? So personally, myself, if I wanted to store value over the long haul, I'm not sure Ether would be the token or the mechanism that I would be able to do it. Plus, a lot of the ICOs that are being launched every day with DAO and various other ICOs, I see that as having a diluting effect on the supply in the market, because there's only so many traders, there's only so many users, and the more coins that or tokens that enter into the market, the more that limited pool of liquidity that's in the markets, it gets diluted between other markets. And so, you know, I'll experiment with an ICO here and there to see if there's a potential return. But I think in the big picture, the more people that jump into an ICO, and I understand the value proposition of being able to fund open source development through ICOs, and I think that's inherently valuable. But I also think we're in a bit of an ICO bubble as well right now, where, you know, everyone and their grandmother's launching an ICO.
Yeah, I felt the same way with hearing the launch of, I guess it's called the DAO, right? DAO.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, now there's Pluto or something that's getting launched as well, and, you know, List got launched, and these things are raising. I mean, it's nuts, right? Because people made a lot of money off of Ether. So, you know, you could buy I don't know, one Bitcoin would get you 1,300 Ether, and then, you know, at the peak of that rally that we just had, you know, you could probably get at least, you know, 33 Bitcoin's worth out of that, you know, so it's quite a return on investment. So I think a lot of people have that profit motive in their mind. And I mean, as a trader myself, like, I don't mind the profit motive, but I see it, like, I try to find a balance, right? Like, I try to still stay to the roots, the philosophical roots of decentralization, and I almost see it as also an opportunity for people to take more control of their finances and to be able to work for themselves from home as well. Like, we've created a whole new decentralized economy in a way where people could either learn to develop, and you know, we're all creating money, really. I mean, you know, what was a privilege to bankers is now open to anyone, you know. And obviously this is the Wild West, so this comes with more scams, as we've seen. But, you know, people, they have to, you know, take certain security precautions and not chase hype. And obviously there's a technological aspect of it, but I do see it as quite liberating, even financially, where, like, for myself, for example, you know, I live up on a mountain, and kind of like in the Laurentians, and I'm there's no jobs around here, really. I got to move here from the city, and I just basically work in crypto full time, and I really appreciate the freedom that's allowed me, versus, you know, just going out and working some job. And so there's tons of opportunity, obviously, with all these new startups, and you know, we definitely haven't reached market saturation for a long shot. So there's a lot of growth potential in this industry in so many ways, and I really like I looked at your AMP platform. I really like what you guys are doing with the social media, and I did notice. Actually, it's funny. What AMP came on my radar. I think it was like a few weeks ago. Went on a bull run. I saw a
Yeah.
lot of liquidity coming into it on Poloniacs. I was like, "What's this AMP?" So I looked it up, and in some ways, there's no better advertising than a nice bull run. But
Right.
At least for me personally, I'm more interested in actually building things that people will use and will work and make people's lives better and make money rather than the trading side of things. But you're already living in the future. Like because you're doing the trading, you're looking at the lifestyle that I think could potentially be available to everybody of controlling your own finances and your own employment, even if you're living on a mountain.
Yeah, I'd like to touch on that a little bit. I'd like to talk about the online businesses on a decentralized network, because I have a business online. I invented something and I sell it, and I take the PayPal payment, but I'm thinking about adding the Bitcoin payment. But if I could have it on a decentralized network with millions of people, uh, maybe I'd like that as well. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
What do you guys think?
PayPal is a
the
decentralized system.
the scenario platform is fully programmable, so I can put you in touch with the creator. Maybe you guys can sit down and I mean, there will be apps launching with Scenario. There's a couple different companies that are partnered with us and are interested in using already running the Scenario platform, the actual underlying tech. But that's the beauty of this. So it goes back to compensation. You created something, now you want compensation. How do I connect to my consumers and retain full value? That's exactly what we need to solve.
Interesting. Thank you very much for that answer.
Mm-hmm.
nice.
Lee Travis, you want to kind of pose a question or see if we start a discussion on something?
I'm sorry. I had a comment.
Oh yeah, go ahead.
One thing that the guys skimmed over more or less, and it's kind of normal. We have this weird feature right now. I guess it's going to change, but the social media or social network is the first app that's going to be on the Scenario network or the Scenario stack.
Right.
But the way that the stack is built is all those same features. That's what he's trying to say here. All the same features that the social network has also is modular in the technology stack. So what it really is, aside from the first app that's going to come out, is a content distribution network or system, and that content can be anything. It can be contracts stuck in the blockchain. It can be products. It can with payments. Transactions, sending money. Just about anything. So it's the potential for it really is wide open, and it is. Another thing he kind of said was that we have to make our own blockchain. We don't really have to, but we're going to. I guess
It has to be done.
Yeah, I mean it has to be done. Sure. What I wanted to make a point is that the technology stack is blockchain agnostic, and it can work with any type of blockchain once that blockchain is able to scale. So the way they were hoping was that someone else would fix this problem that Bitcoin had, a year ago, and it just no one's done it. So now that this product is ready to go out, they're saying, well, we're going to go ahead and jump on this, and they've been working with Ethereum. But the really important thing is that it is a different style of an economic platform. And not just because you're using cryptocurrency, but because the market and everyone in it is distributed, and you don't have to physically come together to go to market, like has traditionally been the case. Of course, obviously we've had, buying things on the internet for a long time, but you're always buying through a centralized source. And what this allows to do is putting the inherent value of the AMP on people's attention makes it stay distributed. Basically, it stays at the edges of the network, and uh, you know, when someone sees content, whatever it is, it could be watching a video, a movie, listening to a song, looking at photos, there's an automatic and built-in sort of mechanism that they can be compensated more. You can boost it up more. You can tip, you can buy, or you can just plus one and engage, and that's happening at a much smaller scale. But it all is all included in the underlying technology. That any app can be built on it and do the same.
Okay. I think right now too would be a good thing. So when you guys thinking? You're saying that you guys are gonna launch beta right soon. Do you have any news on that front?
Uh, I would. This is a big question. We wanted to have beta working 6 months ago, but it's a really hard problem to solve all these different issues. So if you take any of those in isolation that John just broke down, it's like, okay, solve this. It's just so. But let's be very clear. You can launch a node now, right? And you can play with bits, but it's not ready for your grandma. So I hope the grandma version, will be launched in September. I'm not gonna give you an exact date because I don't have one, but you can launch a node and start playing around with it now, and all you would need to do is head over to GitHub and probably come into our Slack channel and just talk to some of the guys who are running some of the nodes now.
Okay, that sounds cool. Um, let's see. Let's open it up. Lee Travis, you have anything, a topic you want to pose for the panel to steer the conversation?